it's the same for any sort of creative industry, in my opinion. Working hard, pushing those talent boundaries is going to push for your recognition. Your work is going to talk for itself.
How was it growing up in the UK?
Growing up in the UK, bit of mixed experiences, I suppose, you know. So yeah, I was born and raised in Harrow, Greater London, Northwest London, if you want to call it that. But I had quite a few opportunities around me growing up, which I was, you know, quite fortunate to have. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I used to play football for a few years as a kid. I used to play for Kodak when I was about 6 to about 8 years old, 8 or 9. And that was great. But yeah, just a lot of different opportunities going on around me, which was always nice. I grew up in a very diverse area, Harrow being what it is, with, you know, full of different ethnicities, kind of meant that yeah, it was just being able to experience other people's cultures, different ways of life, and that aspect of things was quite nice, you know. Secondary school, I went to a school called Queensmead in South Islip, which was, again, there was always a lot of opportunities around me to really to kind of push and focus on some of my creative desires and whatnot. But at the same time, I always did feel like there was always there was never really any solid structural guidance leading you to like a specific career path that you wanted to go through. You know, especially being a creative, I feel like there was a lot of things you know, you're not taught in school, you know, creative side even. If you wanted to be your own businessman, say if you are, you know, an entrepreneur with a business idea, that's what you're striving to be when you're in school. I just still feel like there was never really any lessons back at school informing you how you could go about that process of establishing your own business, you know, registering a company, managing your taxes, all of those different things. So for me, it's, yeah, like, it's a bit mixed and mashed, but I mean, I can't really complain, man. Like, I could have grown up in so many other worse areas in London, do you know what I mean? I went to a school in flipping South Islip, so like, yeah, I've only got good things to say when it comes to that, man.
And what's your family background for people who doesn't know you? Like, what would your family background be?
Yeah, so my dad's from Brisbane, Australia. I believe he moved here with his parents when he was 2 years old. I never knew my grandmother on my father's side. Quite close to my grandfather, who still lives here. My mum, she's from Fiji Islands, and before moving over here in the early 90s, I mean, she's got 3 to 4 different generations of families who, you know, lived in Fiji throughout their whole lives. Prior to that, there is some descent from India, somewhere, a region. We tried to trace it back, and we kind of found a region in between the border of like Pakistan and India. But as far as that goes, I've got like no living relatives in India, which is the crazy thing. However, a big part of Hinduism has very much been passed down in my mother's culture. My mum is a very devoted Hindu, and I obviously was, you know, raised into that. My father coming from a fairly Christian background, and my mum, you know, coming from a Hindu background, very much gave it just a unique mix of different philosophies and teachings growing up, you know. But yeah, that's my main background, really.
How did you get into acting?
I never went to drama school. I wanted to at one point. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think when I was doing my A levels, and I knew for a fact that I wanted to follow this career path. I wasn't quite aware of what the process of becoming an actor would entail, and a lot of the trials and tribulations, you're going to face along the way. I was naive to a lot of those notions, but at the same time, I knew it was something I wanted to do because it was always a burning passion I had within me. So after my A levels, I remember I was working at this gambling amusements place called Admiral Casino. And I just hated it. I hated it. I was doing nights, and I was a bit stockier back then, chest all puffed up, shorter hair, bit of a buzz cut, like a stash and everything, looked like a little cholo, a little Mexican. But like I just felt like this ain't me, man. Like I don't want to be this stiff guy with my chest out all my life just because this is kind of what my surroundings tells me I should look like and how I should behave like. I'm someone with a lot of energy, a lot of like passion that I want to be able to use in a way that's helpful, not just to myself but to other people around me. So I left that job. I say left, I failed my probation, but I didn't want to be doing the things they tried to have me doing. So I was just like, what's for me won't miss me. Left that place, decided to start. My parents kind of pushed me into going to university as well. So I started a degree in business management after looking around at different film courses and acting courses. But I did decide to myself, no, I'm going to go about doing this on my own accord, because the industry as we know it now is changing in so many different ways. The traditional route of going through drama school is not quintessential to you becoming a very successful actor, So I decided to myself, I'm going to have a stable sort of a plan B, basically, a backup in case things go sideways. Business management was that. As time went on, I realized I needed a bit more time to focus on my acting, so I put my studies on hold, focused more of my time transitioning from doing like extra work, background work in 2016 into just putting that time and energy into my craft and who I wanted to become. And then, I remember 2017, I got my first agent after knocking on all them doors all year, just, working hard to try and get that recognition from casting directors and industry professionals who I knew I wanted to be seen by. At the back end of 2017, I started writing my own short film called Built to Be. And in 2018, we made that happen. And a lot of prosperous opportunities came from making that film. That has led me to where I am now as well. But essentially with my acting journey, it's been a huge mix of, it's predominantly film jobs that I've done. I have done a little bit of theatre, but over the past 2 years, my acting has very much been, catered more towards theatre, I'd say. Yeah.
You talked about the movie Built to Be, and it's starring Adam Deacon. I saw it on your Instagram. So we just give everybody who doesn't know about the movie like a little insight about the movie.
Sure. So Built to Be follows the journey of an 18-year-old young carer who's in his final year of A-levels, and he's trying to get himself into a really like prestigious university, and he's got this friend called Kim who he's quite close with, and they're both working hard towards getting into the same sort of university. However, whilst that's going on, this character who I play, Shrey, his name is, he's working for his father, who's actually suffering from a chronic illness called fibromyalgia. The father at this point doesn't really know he's suffering from this illness, but he knows that there's something wrong with him. The son suspects there's something wrong with him, but the son basically is working alongside his father in their jewelry store business. But that starts eating into his, his time to study and revise, his social life, and all of the stresses from everything going on leads him to smoking marijuana, and before you know it, he's in this cycle of just every day, repeatedly, just chuffing it down, and yeah, it gets to a point where he's found with it in school because a local neighbor has seen his distinctive blue uniform, his sixth form college uniform, has made the school aware, right? And basically the head of year of this pupil has intercepted the kid and has found him with a small bag of marijuana. And then it becomes a story told through flashbacks where we start to uncover why is a kid who looks like this, who's been, who's quite a hardworking, quite a reserved, introverted kid, started smoking marijuana. Why is he found with a Class B substance? And this is a school that's got more of a zero tolerance sort of policy. It resembles my secondary school a little bit, because I remember I stayed on for my A levels in their college, and they were quite hard about, when it came to, if you were caught with it, they came down hard on you. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that's built to be, but it's a story that very much, through the use of flashbacks, tells you why, these choices were made. It gives you an insight into this person's particular journey, with the aim of trying to, inform people of the different struggles that some people may be dealing with behind closed doors, which leads them to making, choices that aren't necessarily the best for them.
How was it working with Adam Deacon? I know he's a big legend and everyone knows him from Adulthood, Kidulthood and all the big movies he's done. How was your experience of working with him?
Man, I'll be honest with you, it was a dream come true. It was at the time, when I was writing the film, so I didn't answer that part of it. So I wrote Built to Be just because I felt there was a lack of stories like that out there. I wanted to pay homage to my mum's culture as well, secondly. And thirdly, I just thought it would be a great opportunity to show a different side to my acting, different roles I could play. I started writing the story, and I knew I wanted to take from some of my life experiences, people I knew within my life growing up in the UK. And I just said to myself, if I'm writing a film with a teacher character who's basically trying to convince this pupil why smoking marijuana is not the best thing for you in your life, especially with what you've got going on, I don't want it to be this middle-class, condescending person who's frankly unrelatable to young people. My idea was, young people need to see a face that they can recognize, that's familiar to them, even if they look a little bit different. And it just so happened that, Adam Deacon had, he'd got back to work again, thank God, after everything, he'd been dealing with a few years back. And I remember when I was writing the film, I just knew it had to be him. It had to be him, just because there's not too many people that sound like him who we see as teachers on British TV dramas and all of these different shows. And I said to myself, this is a film that needs to show representation at its finest. We need to show that it's possible for people who've come from these sort of backgrounds can make it in those sort of higher positions. They don't have to sound like this with Queen's cut English, standard RP. Doesn't have to be that. We don't all talk like that, Going back to your question, sorry for diverting. Adam Deacon is a legend, as you said. Being able to work with him was not only informative, but it was like I said, a dream come true. I learned so much from just being around him, working with him. His process as an actor, going through rehearsals with him, was quite insightful for me, not just as the writer of the film, but as an actor, seeing how a professional actor goes about, their craft. He was so different to how I expected as well. I'm not going to lie to you. I think a lot of people who've seen Adam Deacon and a lot of his films like Kidulthood, Adulthood and Otherhood, they've seen him as, the angry, the angry street kid with a bit of a chip on his shoulder. He's always a little bit aggy, but he's the opposite in real life. He couldn't be any further to those roles than he is in real life. Like he carries himself with extreme humility. He's very mindful and considerate to people and others around him, and it was a little bit surprising to me just to see how different he is. But it just goes to show, like, you know, how professional of an actor he is. You know, when it comes to his work, you know, he's on point. But yeah, it was an absolute honor working with Adam Deacon. We still keep in touch. You know, he's a friend now, it was great to kind of build that relationship, leaving Built to Be just as somewhat, you know, like on a similar sort of level. I'm not going to say I'm on the same level as Adam Deacon because, you know, but like we've got that friendship and we've got that mutual respect for what we do. And yeah, man, he's a great guy.
Next question I'm going to ask is, what do you like more, theatre acting or movie acting?
Ooh. Theatre acting excites me on so many other levels. It connects with me just deep inside. Unlike any other sort of acting, with theatrical acting, you can feel it's coming from such a real, authentic and passionate place, you know? So when it comes to the acting side of things, theatrical acting is something I always lean towards. Not only is it more rigorous as an actor, you know, and I love actors who've got chops and are on top of their game, you know. It's quite different from, you know, say for instance, a film where you do have the freedom a lot of the time to go for retakes and, you know, you can go back and redo scenes. With theatre, it's just all in one go, as you know. And I very much enjoy the adrenaline that comes with it. I enjoy the atmosphere of being on stage. So I think as an actor, I do prefer theatre, but at the same time, I don't want to limit myself, and I really do love the opportunities that come from film. I love, for me anyway, I just know I want to make work through film that speaks to people, that can connect with them, and showcases a different side to what I'm capable of doing, you know, like if I can play a different ethnicity or, you know, or a different nationality in a certain project, and it continues to vary through my film work, more people from those regions of the world are going to see that and have a completely different perception towards me, and that excites me quite a lot as an actor. So it's a bit of both. I feel like I'm always going to pivot between film and theatre within my career.
Name your all-time actors that influenced you growing up.
Okay, so growing up, if I had to mention actors, it would definitely be more screen actors. I remember when I was a teenager, I was watching people like Robert De Niro in his different movies. He was really inspiring just to see the diversity within his roles, the different projects he would take on. Al Pacino, one of my all-time favorite actors as well. I mean, his work speaks for himself as well. Like Heat, Scarface, Scent of a Woman, the Godfather movies, etc. Like I feel like Robert De Niro, he's always been quite diverse with the roles he takes on, and I've always been one of these actors who strives to, you know, push very, you know, like inconsistent roles, you know, like I want to play roles that are very unique and individual to other roles I've played. I think one actor, though, who really convinced me to become an actor was Christian Bale, just because of the dedication he puts into every role he touches. It's beyond anything I've seen before, you know, like, and he's still at it, you know, he's still going about his business, and his work speaks for itself, you know. I very much love transformative actors who push boundaries, push different perceptions towards them, and actors who can take on projects to a higher quality and maintain that. I feel like Christian Bale is one of those people who's not only succeeded in that consistency of quality with the projects he's done, but also pushed boundaries as an actor of what is known, you know. what's accepted. So yeah, definitely Bell.
Any advice you would give to any up and coming actors or actresses? Any tips how to get into the industry and what they need to do to be successful?
Push those talent boundaries. Push those talent boundaries. Everyone, or I'm not going to say everyone wants to be an actor, but yeah, I think quite a lot of people do want to be, quite a lot of people do want to be musicians and designers and all of these different things. It's the same for any sort of creative industry, in my opinion. Working hard, pushing those talent boundaries is going to push for your recognition. Your work is going to talk for itself. I genuinely believe that the harder you can work and allocate more time and your own finance into your creativity, mastering a trade, becoming the best that you possibly can be in one trade, the proof is in the pudding. The work is going to speak for itself in the future, You're going to continue to surprise yourself. So my advice would be to push those boundaries, find an income as well that supports your creative ambitions, because especially in this day and age, in this world, we have to work. We have to work hard to make our dreams a reality, unless you're a daughter or a son of a big time producer, or this person, know that person. You still have to get things on your own accord, So I think that's the best advice I could give. If you're in the UK, please don't be limited by the work that is circulating around in the UK industry, because I feel like as British actors, we are in demand in so many different areas around the world. So please continue to see your profession with an open mind to different types of work you can take on. And I would say take on work that connects with you as a human being, be mindful of the roles you take. Make sure they're reflective and representative of you as a human being.
Any future projects you got coming out soon that we should check out for?
So I just wrapped filming recently for a short art experimental film during the lockdown. I'm not going to say too much about it just because I do want people to see it for themselves, make their own conclusions, and just hopefully it does push a few boundaries. But it is about a lot of the protests that have been happening throughout the lockdown in the UK. It addresses misinformed stereotypes and, just perceptions towards races which are inaccurate. And yeah, I feel like we've done this in a very, I want to say we've done this in a very thought-provocative and captivating way. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Aside from that, I'm working on a personal project that may take me as far as Egypt, exploring ancient Egyptian culture. But yeah, I guess aside from that, I'm just working really, just behind the scenes, making sure I've got enough income to support my creative ideas, seeing what other work comes up. Obviously, due to coronavirus and lockdown, it's made it extremely difficult for actors to go about working. But I'm very optimistic about the future, and I know this isn't going to be something that's going to affect us for longer than we would like it to, any longer, because the world needs entertainers.
Definitely, 100%.
And entertainment has always been something that's thrived since the dawn of humanity. There's always been ways for entertainment to thrive. So I'm hopeful, to be honest with you. But yeah, that's basically it.